Welcome, everyone. This is our final Wellness Wednesday for the semester. I'm glad that everyone's joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. This will be recorded so that we can share it. It will be found on our YouTube channel for LU Health Education. So you can find us on YouTube and watch this video whenever you want. Today's going to be a little bit different. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll go through that because I think there's some really useful information out there. But I am going to hop off PowerPoint, and I actually want to use some resources out there and some things that you can actually find. So we are going to do that today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about kind of preparing for that final stress. Just some things that you need to consider and know, and then what you can kind of do to help you out in the moment to kind of get you through finals in a few weeks. So the first thing that I want to do, and I try to do this anytime I talk about stress, is I want everybody to take a quick stress break. So what that means, and you'll see some pictures here, is I just want you to take a quick stretch break. So you can grab your arms, you can give yourself a nice stretch up. My personal favorite is give yourself a twist. So you just grab the back of your chair, give yourself a twist, and just give yourself a stretch break. Really kind of get the blood flowing. I'm not going to do it here, but you can get up. You notice some of these are actually standing. I suggest standing, get that blood flowing. The reason I do the stress break is because this is how easy it is to get that stress relief going. And a lot of what it is one, you're getting the blood pumping, but two, you're giving your body and your brain something else to focus on and get yourself away from whatever's causing you stress. And so this is something you can easily, and maybe not stretching, but you can get up and take a lap somewhere, walk around, do whatever you need. But this is a really easy way for you to stress relief. And so I always start off to just show people how easy it is. Now, one of the other things that I want to talk to you guys about, and I think is really, really important, is understanding the signs that your body is giving you of when you're stressed. A lot of times we get to finals and students aren't necessarily feeling well, and even before that, really, and we're not recognizing when our body's saying, "Hey, you're stressed out. Maybe we need to handle this." And so I want to kind of just walk you guys through kind of what this looks like. And so stress affecting the body. Couple of things that I like to point out is there's some really simple, small things that go on that your body might say, "Hey, this is a trigger." In the body-wise, I'll get to the mental stuff here in a second. But just something as simple as dull or brittle hair, or dry skin and acne, or it could be, I love to point out the gut ones because this is ones that we probably write off a lot. So things like diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, or just bloating and pain and discomfort. Like a lot of times we can write that stuff off as something of like, oh well, I must have ate something or whatever. Joints and muscles. Okay, so simple aches and pains, or just like feeling like tense. Like sometimes we just feel like we're tensed up and we don't know what it is. That could actually be your body just constantly holding that stress. I know for me, I've actually dealt with this in the past where I was clenching my jaw in my sleep and my jaw just hurt and I had no idea why until I actually asked my dentist. So that's something that you can kind of take into account and consider. It could be some stuff. So immune system. So, a lot of times we see students in the student health center and they're coming around finals or midterms times, and they're running themselves ragged from stress and from trying to get everything done, not just studying. And sometimes they're getting sick, and with it being flu season and with COVID going on, it's so much more important to really try to take care of yourself health-wise, not just the physically, but also the mentally, and dealing with the stress piece. And then going into some of the brain stuff, because this is super important, right? We're trying to get you guys prepped and ready for finals. Is if you're having difficulty concentrating, or you've just got anxiety, maybe you've got irritability, mind fog, like stress can actually impact you mentally. It can impact your ability to actually study. Stress may be the number one impediment to academic achievement. I know we do an NCHA survey for the Lamar students. We do it every 2 years. And stress by far has been the number one thing that students say impacts their academics. And so it's so important. We're seeing this here on Lamar's campus. Some things that can actually impact, so the acute stress, so definitely some of the short-term things like finals can cause, can actually impair your memory and your ability to memorize things. And what do we need to study, right? We need to be able to memorize stuff. So again, super important. So what I want to go through with you guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about stress moving forward, because I think those, if you can recognize when your body's stressed out, that helps you even more to actually get the stress management and start pulling out some of those techniques. And some of this, the reason I'm covering this so far in advance of when finals actually are coming, because you still have a few weeks, is because there's a couple things that you can do, and you'll see them on this list, to kind of really help you get started. Because I think with stress management is there's a foundation that you can lay, so it's not just something that you're having to do in the moment. I'm going to touch on some of the in the moment stuff, but I think there's some other things that you can do. So with that being said, is the first one is the big one, which is getting yourself organized. If you're not already organized for the semester, or maybe you are organized, but you think you can step up your game, I highly recommend doing this, whether it's getting a planner or a whiteboard or just a pen and paper and you start writing a list. I highly recommend getting some organization in there. Controlling your environment. I really like to talk about controlling your environment in the sense of sleep, because if you hop on over, you see that it says rest yourself. So sleep's a big component of stress relief, because when you probably get the most relaxation, it's when you're sleeping. And the big piece with controlling your environment and sleep is start separating your sleep environment from your study environment. I know, especially for students maybe that live in dorms, or maybe you live somewhere else and your room is your only safe space to study, or your quiet space. The problem with that is our brain has already associated our beds and our bedrooms to sleep. So if you're trying to study in your sleep space, your brain isn't necessarily triggered to really be in that study mode. It might be in the sleep mode, and that's when maybe we are studying in bed and then we're like, oh, I'm tired, I'm just gonna rest here. And then an hour later you wake up and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done that I wanted to. So that's a big piece of that. The other piece is, if you have a hard time resting yourself and really getting to sleep, is starting to control your environment by separating the technology. So whether it's not having a TV in your room, or not using your TV within so much time of going to bed, with your cell phones, turning on the blue light filters, or not using your cell phones even before, a certain amount of time before bed. And then the other piece to that is, like, when you are sleeping, don't get tempted. So move your cell phone. So like example, like I can reach my cell phone really easily right here, right? Well, instead of just having it within arm distances, actually move it out of the way. Move it to where you cannot reach it. And the other piece of that is, for those of you that are late sleepers, if you move your phone out of the way and your phone is your alarm, well, guess what? You now have to actually get out of bed to go turn your alarm off. So we're not hitting that snooze button 10 times, or that 5 times, and so you're picking up 20-30 minutes in the morning that you can be super productive. A couple other things is the love yourself and reward yourself. I always like to talk about together, because I think they're kind of linked. So one is giving yourself the positive feedback, and this isn't something you have to say out loud. It's just always telling yourself that, wow, like, you did something awesome, you're really successful, or I just did really well on this project, or even just recognizing, like, hey, I feel good today and it's a good day. You'd be surprised how that power of positivity can really, really help you mentally. And then rewarding yourself. But every time you get a final done, reward yourself. Whether it's just a 5-minute, like, I'm gonna reward myself, or it's like, hey, I finished this final, I'm gonna go grab my favorite ice cream, or do something that you can reward yourself. I think this is gonna be really important for finals. Again, setting yourself up for that mental, like, hey, like, I've accomplished something, I've checked something big off of my checklist. I think that's really helpful. Exercise is really important, just because a lot of the mechanisms with exercise and the hormones that are actually being released when you're exercising actually counteract stress. So as much as you are working out your body, that's super helpful. Also, if you exercise, it helps you fall asleep. Now, with that being said, is you don't want to exercise within about 24 hours of bedtime, so just kind of keep that in mind. Relax yourself, pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go through some ways that you can do that here in a second. Being aware of yourself. So this kind of ties into why I talked in the beginning about recognizing what your body's telling you. And that's because your body is saying, like, hey, like, things are going on, you're stressed out. And if we're not staying in tune to that, a lot of times, I've had conversations with the counselors before, is we see a lot of students who they get to us at the end of a semester and they're totally stressed out, they're totally freaked out. And we want to educate students to recognize when things are going awry and they're not maybe overwhelming. So we don't want you to get to the overwhelmed part. We want you to get to the point where you're recognizing something's wrong and you're going, I need help. Because if you're recognizing I need help early on, we're probably not going to get to the overwhelmed and stressed point, and we're really going to do some good for you. So that's kind of the big piece of that. Is we all want to recognize and be aware of our own bodies and our own minds. Feeding yourself. Start eating healthy, and with the do not poison your body. So, no alcohol, no drugs, especially since most drugs are illegal. Really taking care of your body in that sense, because if you're eating well and you're not drinking or not doing drugs, you're setting yourself body-wise up to be really, really healthy. And not necessarily being on a diet or anything like that. I think it's just you're recognizing you got to eat fruits and vegetables and getting all the vitamins and nutrients that you need. You're really kind of giving yourself that brain power and that body power. You're not tired. You'd be surprised how changing your diet can just really help your mental capacity. And then the last one is enjoying yourself, recognizing that, yes, you're accomplishing something awesome, but you do need to fit in some time to do something that you love. And you can build that into your reward system. So, if you like to play video games, or you like to listen to music, or you like to go for a walk, maybe exercise is the thing you like, and whatever your enjoyment is fitting that enjoyment in and you building it as a reward system, so that when you do get something accomplished, you're saying, oh, great, now I'm going to now I can reward myself, and I'm going to build in time. And that all these pieces kind of go together. And that's why I love this list so much, is because these pieces kind of build off of each other and you can really tie them in really nicely. So yoga, the only reason that I really like to show this slide, so yoga is really nice in general because it kind of builds that mind and body piece together. But I really like to show this slide because this is something that I dug into, and I wanted to find one yoga pose or two yoga poses that I thought would be really useful for students. And the one that I found for some really instant stress relief, and even like for those of you who have back pain, tension, maybe you find yourself slumping, the one on the left where she's laying down on the ground and she's got her legs propped up on a wall, this is the one I keep finding that a lot of places recommended just as a quick stress reliever. It helps you decompress, so that's why I said it's really good for back pain. And you actually get a lot of stretching in. It's a position where it actually, you get the blood flowing back down to your core and to your brain. So it's actually one that I thought I really wanted to share with students. Exercise-wise, I'm going to get into some resources, but if you're interested in trying yoga, Pilates, or any type of like atmosphere where like I need a little bit of guidance, Rec Sports has a lot of these sessions and they've got a lot of really unique twists on that. So definitely check out their schedule because I think there's some really cool stuff on there that you could try out. Some daily mindfulness. So one of the things that we actually talk about is mindfulness, and I'm going to show you why this has kind of become this buzzworthy thing, but I'm not going to get super detailed and read word for word the slide. But what I want to get across to everybody is that mindfulness is meant to be done in your space, in your time, however you want to do it. And the best way to do this practice is honestly aim to practice maybe 5-10 minutes, whatever time you have. And you want to just find like a quiet space, and it doesn't have to be totally quiet. Like you can have noise, and I'll explain why in a second. The idea behind mindfulness, though, is that you are not focusing on the past. You're not focusing on the future. You're focusing on the here and now. And the best way to do that is to focus on your senses. This was where that it doesn't have to necessarily be a super quiet space. So like you could go down to the duck pond. I know a lot of students love a duck pond. Go down to the duck pond and check out that space. Like maybe you hear cars driving back and forth. Maybe you go where the traffic picks up a little bit. You can tap into that sound and really tap into that. Or maybe you go and it's really sunny out and you tap into like the feeling of the sun on you. Tapping into those senses, because those senses are bringing you to the here and now. Now, here's the kicker with mindfulness. A lot of times people think, oh, meditation and mindfulness, like I have to be able to clear my mind. That's not the case at all. With mindfulness, all you're trying to do is stay in the here and now. But if your mind wanders, the piece to this is just recognize that your mind is wandering and bring it back. This is not a practice that has to be perfect or anything like that. This is something that it's personalized to you. So definitely kind of give this a shot and give it a try. So I'm going to quickly run through this, but I actually want to hop into some other resources on here. But some resources you can look into. Koru has some really great videos. You can go on YouTube or their website. The Calm app, I'm actually going to go to their website because I think there's some really cool things. Some Stop, Breathe, Think at Headspace are two really popular ones. Stop, Breathe, Think, I think the name has changed on YouTube, but you can still search by that. They're really good. They provide a wide variety of videos. Their app is absolutely amazing, and it's a little bit tailored without having to do a ton of information. So you can open the app, and there might be, how are you feeling today? And you pick like an emoji that recognizes how you're feeling today. So like if you're feeling really good and you're happy, you pick a happy face. If you're not doing so great, you're kind of just like, I'm like, meh. Like you can click a face that recognizes that, and it'll give you some stuff that you can work on. So that's kind of the nice thing about some of these apps is you can tailor that. There are coloring apps. So Colorfy is a really great adult coloring book. For those of you that don't want to have the expense that, there's a lot of free stuff on there, is you don't want the expense of trying to buy a coloring book and buy pencils or anything like that. That's something that you can have. So I'm going to hop out of the presentation because, like I said, I wanted to show you guys some options. So the first option is actually something that's custom for us at Lamar. We, as a student health center, are paid for students to have this for free. So if you aren't aware of this resource already, I definitely suggest checking it out. It's called CampusWell. If you come up here, all you gotta do is type in lamar.campuswell.com, and it's gonna bring you to this website. If you scroll, there's actually it's hard to see because it's covered here, but if you click it open, one of the first things you're going to see is this is actually Lamar's campus in the background. So that's how you kind of know it's customized to us. There's actually some information specific to the campus is going to be in here. There's a little LU tab. I was talking about the fall group fitness schedule and some of that information. Well, guess what? We actually take the time to upload that into here. And so you can see there's some really awesome things. I was talking about yoga, so definitely check out the yoga, or even the Release, Relax, Restore. Those are all gonna be fabulous options for you guys. So definitely check that stuff out. Here's where I wanted to show you guys as far as stress relief and some resources. The really cool thing about CampusWell is they recently changed to this format where it's basically like a blog. And the reason I say that is because you can now access all of the past articles on here. So we're going to go over here, we're going to go to Mind, and there's a mindfulness page, but there's also a page related to stress. And as you can see here, it is going to pull up a ton of different articles, everything on here that you could think of. And so I think there's some really good ways to, go through this information and find what works for you. For example, I'm going to open a couple of them so you can see what they've got here. So they've got our top 4 mental health apps to deal with stress and anxiety. So this would be a really good one for right now if you need to have something on hand. You'll notice here, they've actually got the Calm app listed, and they've got the Headspace. So 2 of the ones I've listed before are on their list. And so they're really, really popular ones. If I go back, there's a lot of like ask the counselor or ask the professor. There's a lot of different tools. There's actually an article on here. So this is the other reason I want to show this to you guys. 4 keys to studying for finals. I think this is so useful. Again, there's so much information available for you guys here at the tip of your fingers. If you aren't aware of it, when I post this link on YouTube, I will post the link in the comments, description section to directly link you all here, so you can see it. But you'll see here, there's 4 steps, and there's information provided here. And check it out. This is the really cool piece. They actually will give you a lot of videos on here, and that you can actually see like a yoga pose to help you de-stress. And so I think that's really cool. Couple other things, they do have an app. So you can click here to download their app. Probably didn't want to click on that, but see, look, you can check it out. They've got their app here. Also, if maybe you don't want the app, you maybe are an email person, you can actually go up here and you can sign up to subscribe. This will automatically get any updates they put out. So they put out new content weekly, which is really awesome. So check that out as well. So there's a lot of information on here for you as a student, and this is all free for you guys to use the entire time here at Lamar. Now, I wanted to hop over to Calm app because this is definitely one of the biggest ones here. I want to see if I can show you guys some of the features, and I don't know if I will be able to. Let's go over to that link, right? See if that brings us. We're going to test this out together. Oh, it brings us back here. It brings you to links to get it. But look at here, they even have a student review for this app. But I will say I really do love the Calm app. So the nice thing about the Calm app is there's a variety of resources. Whether it's you need somebody to read you a bedtime story, I know they have Matthew McConaughey that'll read you a bedtime story, but maybe you just need some sounds to help you kind of block some stuff out, and that's a really nice resource to have. So with that being said, I just want to leave a couple minutes just in case there's anybody in here that would like to ask a question. And if nobody has any questions, I'll go ahead and end the session. So I'll just give it a quick minute. Don't see anybody. For those of you that might be watching this later on on the YouTube channel, please feel free to drop any questions, comments you have below in the comment section. I will actually go back and I'll review those. Just provide maybe somebody has a question or I would like to provide an answer to them. So please feel free to comment those questions. If nobody has anything, I hope you found some really useful information here. And I wish you all the best on finals. Make sure coming up, we will have De-Stress Week in the fall. Despite COVID, we're still going to do a mix of giving you guys some at-home stuff and some in-person activities. We've been working really hard on getting the schedule. So definitely stay tuned for the De-Stress Week schedule. We've got a good lineup of events that will be coming to you guys. We've partnered with some really awesome departments around campus. So thank you guys for joining, and I will catch you later.